Hey guys, Ron G, aka Your Console with the Net Worth Nugget for today, August the 1st, 2025. And today, I want to take a little time on Financial Friday with a very interesting topic, a myth buster of sort, and as we all like to do with our famous true and false. First off, order of business. If you haven't done so yet, please subscribe to the channel if you'd like to hear more content like this. The YouTube channels love it when you talk more about what we talk about today. And of course, there's a lot of people out there that may want to know what we got going on over here at the Net Worth Nation. So without further ado, let's dive into today's material. Today, I really want to speak to this myth as it surrounds the millionaire class. And so I'll do a quick true and false with you. True or false? Most millionaires inherit their wealth. Most millionaires inherit their wealth. True or false? Well, believe it or not, that's false. You see, 70 to 80% of millionaires in the world are self made. 70 to 80%. What that means is that most of them are a byproduct of hard work. It's not luck. It's not being in the right place at the right time. It's more or less being around the right people and being in the right places, meaning that what they've seen is admired. And so as they begin to identify certain key people that they see that are being successful, that future millionaire will make sure that they begin to put themselves in those rooms, put themselves in within voice or arm's reach of people who are doing successful things in the financial sectors. And so what happens is they begin to put themselves around those people, and then, as they say, the fruit doesn't far fall from the tree. What happens is now those fruits begin to manifest themselves in that individual. So a lot of them are self-made. And here's a very interesting one that blew my mind. So there are some out there who have been given wealth and who did inherit it. However, it's usually done by parents who ensure that the receiver of the inheritance is well versed on what the financial world looks like well versed on what are the things that wealthy people are supposed to do and supposed to know. Case in point, I know you've heard of, well, if you haven't, Shaquille O'Neal. You'd be living under a rock. He's one of the most wealthiest athletes in the world, right up there with Michael and Magic. And one of the interesting things about Shaquille O'Neal, he told his kids one day, and I'm sure you guys have heard this out there. One of his boys said, "Hey, man, Dad, I know you want me to go play basketball. I know you want me to go to school, but man, we rich. Like, why do I got to do that?" And Shaq immediately looks his son in the eye and says, "No, no, son, I'm rich. You're not." Meaning that you're not going to just get this inheritance just because you're my son, right? And so Shaq made it a prerequisite that they had to go to college, they had to take business, they had to either work in one of his businesses, and so they can learn and level up from the ground level. And then and only then would he feel confident and leaving them his will. Another story that blew my socks. I don't know, or maybe you guys do know or don't know. I don't know how many of you watch CNN out there, but Anderson Cooper, one of the legendary figures on CNN, who's been tremendously successful on television as a journalist, as an author, and a philanthropist and things like that. And I don't know if you guys know it, but his mom was probably one of the most famous fashion designers in the world. Her name was Gloria Vanderbilt. And Gloria Vanderbilt told her baby son, Anderson Cooper, "If you think for 1 second that I'm going to leave you all of this money as an inheritance, you are sadly mistaken." This is a real story. So she made sure that Anderson got educated, Anderson learned, Anderson develop the skill sets and the things and the values of what wealthy people do. And then, of course, we did find out she actually did leave him $1.5 million. But in the grand scheme of things, when Gloria Vanderbilt passed away, I'm almost sure she was worth over $100 million at the time of her death in, I believe, 2019, which means that she only left Anderson Cooper a fraction of her wealth. Now, let's keep it 100. Anderson Cooper is probably one of the more wealthier journalists in the world. He's very, very successful. But facts are they didn't just give it to him, right? So that myth is a two. So the next thing I want to ask you is this question. Most millionaires knew exactly how they were going to strike it rich. They knew it. They had it all mapped out here, and they knew it inside. Well, again, true or false? If you said false, you were correct. Ray Kroc, I don't know if you guys heard his story. If you haven't seen it, watch the movie. It is phenomenal. But Ray Kroc had so many doors slammed in his face over a 7 to 10 year time period. He was going around with this milkshake machine, and he was trying to get people to invest in it. At the time, I don't think there was anything like a malted milkshake. And of course, get out of here with that. And so he had this idea, obviously, if you know, of a unique burger recipe with a strategic and a disciplined formula of burgers. And what ended up happening is he began to try to shop this formula around. And of course, multiple doors were closed in Ray Kroc's face. So again, the myth that he knew exactly how it was going to work, when it was going to work, was a false narrative. It took Ray Kroc almost 7 to 10 years. He was actually 54 years old when he actually began to take off in the McDonald's franchise. So again, not quite what we thought as far as success. There's another one that really stood out to me. And Ray Kroc, by the way, was 54, but there was another gentleman who failed literally, and I didn't believe this until I actually read it multiple places and multiple sources that he failed over 1,000 times before he got it right. It was none other than the legendary Colonel Sanders. Colonel Sanders was actually 62 years old when he finally landed it big with his Kentucky Fried Chicken secret formula. I mean, he sold pots, pans, vacuum cleaners, you name it, he sold it, he tried it, used cars, insurance, everything. And so, multiple failure after failure after failure. I tell you, I've never seen anything, I've never even heard anything like it. The man was absolutely in his senior years. Well, then again, when you're happy, you're doing what you want to do, maybe he was young at 62 years young discovered the Kentucky Fried Chicken formula. So again, it doesn't necessarily mean you have it all together right away. And the last personality that I want to mention, someone more in our modern era, is none other than Mark Cuban, the former owner of the Dallas Mavericks. Actually, he's a minority owner now of the Dallas Mavericks. Now, when Mark Cuban first started out, he was in his early 20s. His first business was a powdered milk solution that he created at the age of 24. His business actually failed before the clock hit 30 days. 30 days, this business didn't make it. Then he went on to try to work for major corporations, in which he's admitted he failed and failed again. He got fired, terminated from so many companies. And again, I think about a guy like him, as sharp as he is. I know we all watch him on Shark Tank. You would never expect that. And so he failed miserably there. And then he finally figured out he would get into this broadcasting business. Him and a partner, they ended up buying a broadcasting firm, and they rebranded it. They came up with their own ideas. They did some interesting things. And literally, I think in 1998 or somewhere around there, 1999, he ended up selling that broadcasting business. If I'm correct, they figured out a way to do the first live streaming of sports onto a cell phone. And so, or a handheld device. And so he hit it out the park with that. We all know his story, became a billionaire, bought the Dallas Mavericks, sold that. And so Mark Cuban. And one of the famous quotes that I love that Mark Cuban says, he says, "You can fail as many times as you can, but it only, absolutely only takes one time to get it right." Great quote, Mark Cuban. So the myth buster number two, millionaires knew exactly what they were doing. No, not so much so. False. And the last one before I let you go, millionaires absolutely hold their money, they save their money, they sit on their money, and they save and they save and they save and they save until one day they're eventually rich. They don't believe in spreading their money around. They don't believe in sharing their resources. They keep it all together. True or false? Now, you're probably right about that, but you're not. It's false. Millionaires do not. Exactly the opposite of what they do. See, millionaires understand that their money has to be spent, but it has to be spent wisely. They get the fact that money has to be spent, but they spend it wisely. Another thing that millionaires always make sure that they do is that their money is constantly reproducing more monies. We like to say they love pregnant money. They want their money to be pregnant and having baby after baby after baby after baby. I know that's a graphic sound, but that's exactly what they want. They want their money to produce more of it. Another thing that they do is that they make sure that their money are in vehicles that will bring rates of return back. It really doesn't matter what vehicle it is. They always want to make sure that whatever vehicle they choose, that the rate of return is always going to be better than it was if it wasn't. So just the thought of them sitting money somewhere like in a bank and just letting it sit there and making the most least amount of interest is most likely not the approach of a millionaire. They're going to look at investments that are going to give them a better rate of return. And the last one, that they know that money absolutely have to stay in motion in order for money to reproduce itself. In other words, if their money is not moving and it's not in motion, they know it isn't possible for it to be made. Money has to stay in motion, always, in order for it to be considered successful. If you like the content, once again, please subscribe to the Net Worth Nation. Yours truly, Ron G, aka your consult, here for you each and every Friday, Financial Friday. Talk soon. Peace. Bye for now.